convey to our audience as a parting shot. But before we get there, Lyman, is there one very big topic that we might have missed that you want to go around the horn?
No. First of all, I'm very pleased. You all are obviously very smart and very well versed in the industry. We see a lot of movement, and I think in the healthcare space, there's only a couple players in the industry, but they're not perfected. So for me, I do some work with other organizations like Mayo and Banner and some others, and there's a big focus on artificial intelligence, BI, and business management, whatever you want to call it. I would love to hear from my peers on the call, what's the definition that they understand from the three and how that affects our middleware? Artificial intelligence, business intelligence, you can keep naming them something else every year.
I'll take care of that. I will tell you that as an organization, we've invested heavily in intelligent automation and analytics to help us deliver our services more effectively and to bring greater value to our customers.
Right.
That doesn't mean, and I'm an old timer. It doesn't mean you replace people. But here's what it does do. If I can provide automation to a Medicare biller who's been in the business for 20 years, and they are the very best Medicare biller, and Paul and Lloyd, these do not fall off the trees, right? And if they're spending 20-30% of their time taking data from this screen to this screen or filling out these forms, right? And this is a highly, highly competent Medicare biller. Now, if I can bring some automation into play where I can increase their productivity by 20% because now I'm using all of their Medicare skills, then that's a significant improvement.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I can use intelligent automation and analytics to be able to provide patients in today's economy, those that are losing their employee-sponsored health care and that are going to have higher bills, if I can predict how much Paul is able to afford versus Lloyd versus Mike versus you, Lyman, who can pay in full, then that is a value not just to my customers but to their patients.
Exactly.
So I think that there's room for automation. I think there's room for intelligent automation and analytics, but it has to bring value and it has to make our customers more productive. And if we can reduce their costs at the same time, then you know what?
You're right. With a value proposition, that's my point as well. So, good point.
Yeah, I would say we're really only using AI in the coding world, where you see repetition, and so we are using it in a big way, way upstream. And other than that, we use it from a QA and a compliance perspective. But much to Noel's point, we use scoring and analytics in a big way and have always. So how we adapt that right now, it's not artificially, but we'll look at anything, and we're always looking to improve.
Yeah, I think I've seen artificial intelligence and particularly machine learning misused quite a bit. And as a computer science degree person, I'm going to defend the industry a little bit.
I figured that.
So I'm a little particular in that one, but I will say that the concept's the same. It's like you can call it whatever you want to call it. And as you guys have already said, there's extreme value in the investment of just good, solid, call it analytics, but it's just learning from your data. I mean, there's just this wealth of information out there that you can predict so much. And as I heard Noel talk about earlier, just being able to not only make a process more efficient, but being able to deliver the communication in the way that the end user, aka the patient, wants it, right? Omnichannel. I mean, it's where everyone's going. It's where all these generations, the older generations, I am an Xer, right? So I'm a little bit younger, but, we're all getting older. And I think I believe the latest statistic is more than half the workforce is, millennial and below. And even then, a lot of us, like I would say I'm a tech geeky Xer, right? And I'm sure there's some boomers that have moved in as well. I think everybody sees the benefit of communicate with the way I want to be communicated with. We can get the regulators out of the way, which again, different conversation. The idea being that I've got all this data. I know that, you know what, you want to receive a text. Well, I'm going to send you a text. I'm going to figure out what time of day you want to receive that text. I'm going to figure out whether, I'm going to follow it up with an email after that, or maybe you do want a phone call, or maybe you want to call in. I see fewer, more talented reps, more skilled reps.
Right.
The people that have to handle it are complicated, but all the self-service stuff is, man, if you want to get up at 2 a.m, because you're driving your Uber and, all night, and you make a ton of money getting certain people home from the bars at midnight, but then you're going to pay some bills at 2, well, darn it, you should have the ability to do it. And I think that the analytics have to drive that. You can't just build that stuff in a vacuum. You got to look at real world case scenarios, build it out, and make it use. And then that value case that you're talking about, Lyman, I mean, it's a very compelling case because not only do you get better results, but it is going to be done cheaper. I mean, it just is. Like, it's just electronic communication is just so much more efficient.
Well said, Paul.
Good points.
Well, Lyman, in the interest of everybody's time here, save you for second last. I'm going last. And that is, let's go around the horn here and have a parting shot. And what message do you want to convey within a minute? Do it within a minute. Noel, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I'm going to beat this dead horse. I think back to the Clinton administration and the HIPAA regulations, and there was a famous word in that law that was administrative simplification. All right, so here we are. I don't know, 30 years later, there has been little, if any, administrative simplification. I think that the next big horizon, the next big hurdle for us as an industry is a convergence between payers and providers. And I really think that that's something that has to happen at some point. We cannot continue to look at payers like the enemy, and payers can't continue to look at providers as the enemy. And I think that there has to be some convergence there where we can gain some efficiencies and this is insane sometimes, the amount of work that it takes to get a claim paid and claims processed. So that's my parting shot. I hope that cooler heads and smarter people can get together and there be a convergence there to solve some of those problems.
Thank you, Noel. Paul, you're up.
I definitely agree with all those points. I think we're going to hear a lot of really good points come from this group. I would add to it that, to me, I think that, gone are the days of we do what we do, we send a letter, we make a phone call, we receive a phone call, we collect the bill or we didn't, and move on. I think the differentiators, if you want to call them that, are all of the expertise and insight that we can give not only to the data you give us, but upstream into, and this is, I think, a very healthcare specific thing, is looking at what you're giving us and deciding where you have issues upstream that maybe we can give you insight into. Okay, you're talking to my patients. Why are they upset, for example? Give me some insight into that. Is it because they're going to the psychologist department and they have a rude desk clerk? Is it that I have a problem with a certain payer in a certain region? What is it? If I have a coding issue or I hired a vendor in coding and they're not doing their job well, I want you to tell me. I think that next layer of being able to really drive all that, again, back to sort of the analytics part of it, of deciphering all that information, getting good, usable, actionable data back to our clients is going to become an expectation.
Excellent, Paul. Lloyd?
Well, there's an evolution going on, and healthcare has been in the thrust of a revolution. It will continue. We talked about some of the topics today. We, as solution providers, better figure out how to provide solutions that are valuable to our clients. RCM is more about revenue consulting and management, and that's how our focus has to be. That's how our delivery has to be to help affect the change that they're going through today.
Lloyd, thank you. Lyman?
I think my only message is, having worked on both sides of the fence, from a provider world for 30-some years and showing my age, is that, I think the world has changed. I think that inside the four walls of a health system, access, clinicals, and the back office cannot be divorced of each other. And I've stressed that at Cleveland Clinic, and I will continue to stress that in the marketplace because that clinical and financial integration is going to be imperative, not with just COVID-19, but with everything else. Then I'll throw it outside of that and say that from a vendor perspective or a support perspective, you cannot be a solution to everything. I don't care whether you're Epic, Cerner, Meditech, or anybody else. You cannot be a solution to everything. Okay? So I think find the right partner, not a vendor, and don't berate them because I'm now on the darker side and done that buying with Jim Richards and whatever. But I just think that if you do it in the right way, it's the right way to go.
Thank you, Lyman. Everybody's points are absolutely excellent. Mine's going to be a very easy one. And this is directed towards the client, the largest of the large system, down towards the smallest of small individual physician. And that is very simple. In order to really know the marketplace of what you're trying to accomplish here, these gentlemen are not providing health care. They're not a provider of health care. They are a provider of solutions to make your life more efficient with your consumer, with your insurance company, the government, within your own business. Managing receivables, I don't care how you do it, is the bloodline of absolutely every single business. You better get it right or you will be out of business. To manage this effectively, you need expertise. The four gentlemen that we have on the phone today here are experts in the field. I would comfortably say, regardless of your size, that, and this is not a pitch, I don't get paid to say this, I'm going to be very clear, which is arm yourself with the most experienced, knowledgeable, capable, qualified, interested, motivated, forward thinkers. Okay? These guys are forward thinkers. They're talking about AI because they know, and machine learning and artificial intelligence, for those who might not know the acronym, they're talking about it because it's being talked about. But at the end of the day, they're going to be methodical with their solutions. They're going to try to make money because they need to stay in business. They're not running charities and not-for-profits. The last I checked, the four people on this call and everybody else, very simply, they're in business. By definition, they want to remain in business. They need to operate profitably. Don't squeeze them for the wrong reasons. It's okay to squeeze them for the right reasons. Don't squeeze them for the wrong reasons, and the wrong reasons ultimately will cost you more than you will save. I strongly encourage you to reach out to these gentlemen, talk through the problems like they're your partners, because they are. Like Lyman says, don't treat them like vendors. Solution providers, members of the team, possibly the smartest people in your room. So why don't you treat them that way? I'm going to stop there and say thank you, gentlemen. We've taken well over an hour of your time. The four of you have been terrific. You've been respectful. You've been accommodating, and we appreciate your time and your expertise and your willingness to share it among the various folks who are going to be listening to this, not just the providers, but other service providers, other technology companies, and dare I say some middleware folks. Some of you might be doing business with. Please continue to do business with these gentlemen. I'm the guy who brought up the topic, not them. So I'll leave it there. And I will say, each and every one of you, tremendous, tremendous job today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Hello again. That was a wonderful roundtable, wasn't it? I learned a lot from our wonderful speakers, and I'm sure you did